Good morning everybody, my name is Simon Bevan. I'll be running the session with you here today. I'm a freelance digital marketing consultant based in Cardiff. I've been working in the area of pay-per-click advertising for about 10 years now. Just to explain a little bit about my background by way of introduction. In terms of my university studies and the first part of my career, I spent about 10 years working in the area of modern languages. I did a modern languages degree and spent a decade working as a translator and tutor using English, French and German. After doing that for 10 years, I joined a technology company in the UK that was quite small at the time. That company was Google. I joined in a translation related role, working on AdWords campaigns. It was at a time really before Google or the agency landscape in the UK was really geared up to help advertisers run AdWords campaigns across multiple European markets at the same time. So that was the role that I joined Google to do. I had a number of different roles during my time at Google. I stayed for 9 years at Google. I started off creating and optimizing AdWords campaigns in those three languages, English, French and German. Latterly, I also had a role as a product specialist for search marketing. My role there was really to promote new ad betas and new ad formats that were coming to search advertising across a number of European markets. I left Google nearly 2 years ago. I spent a year as a full-time dad and as of last summer I've been working as a freelance digital marketing consultant. Part of that work involves training, and I'm really happy to be able to come back to Google today to do the session with you as part of the Google Partners Program. One thing that I think probably is worth mentioning for you is that I've recently retaken my AdWords certification. This is something that we used to do internally at Google, preparing for the tests and taking them, but I've just gone through that process for the first time externally since I left Google. So I'm hoping that that recent experience in preparing for those tests and taking them will be useful for you too as you prepare to take your AdWords certification. So the module that I'd like to present today, I'll just get it up. The module that I'd like to present today is from the Introduction to Online Advertising, and specifically it's about the different places where your ads can show if you run AdWords campaigns with Google. The first place is probably the best known destination for ads for AdWords campaigns. That's the Google Search Network. So here we're essentially talking about the Google search engine across all the different markets that are available around the world, be that google.com, google.co.uk, google.de, .nl, etc. So as I say, it's probably the format that people are most familiar with. You type in a search query into the Google search box and you're returned a page of search results that can include ads in a number of different places around the search results page. We'll look at some real examples of that in a moment. Similar to that is the Search Partner Network. This is an option that you can tick when creating an AdWords campaign for Google Search. And this essentially expands the reach of the search advertising that you can do with Google. So this involves a number of sites partnering with Google in order to show search results and ads. Those destinations can be Google-owned properties such as Google Maps, where you can enter a search query on the Maps page and see ads in response to that. Equally, it could be one of hundreds of search partner sites that are external to Google. So in the example here, it's Virgin Media, where there's a search box on the page, a user can type in a query, see results, including ads. So it's a way for these publisher websites to monetize their content. Equally, it's a way for Google to expand the reach of the search advertising that it can offer to advertisers. So those are the first two options, which are quite similar. A separate one to that is the display network. We'll look at some real examples of ads on the display network in a moment. I think at this stage the key thing to note firstly is that ads that appear on the display network do not show there in response to a user query or a search term that somebody enters on a site. Instead, they can be shown in response to a number of different criteria, such as the placement itself. An advertiser can choose to target a specific placement on a website. Equally, it could be using Google's contextual engine, which offers the ability to understand what a website is about and then to serve ads in response to that, so to show relevant ads in response to the content of a website. Also, an advertiser can choose to target categories of sites or the theme of a site. So there are a number of different ways in which the ad can get there. The second key difference to note is that the ad format can be quite different to what you find on Google or in the search partner network. So here we have a greater variety of ad formats than just text ads. You could find image ads or even video ads as well as text ads on the display network. So let's see some real examples of this. As I said, the most familiar one on Google search. Here a user has entered the search query of adventure vacation packages. You see the familiar search engine results page. Here we have the 3 ads at the top of the page. They're all clearly labelled as ads, and then usually up to 8 ads that can appear on the right hand side of the page. So as I said initially, these are text ads that are shown in response to a user's search query. Let's just bringing out one of the examples of the ads there. Without wanting to go into too much detail about the search side of things up front, I think it's probably worth just mentioning that it is possible to see other variations than the 3 ads at the top and the 8 at the side. If you've been searching recently, you may have noticed on Google examples where 4 ads can show at the top of the page and no ads at all on the right hand side of the page. In addition to the 4 at the top, you can also find 3 at the bottom of the page. This development was discussed recently on Search Engine Land, which incidentally is a useful site to keep an eye on if you're interested in developments in the area of search advertising. So interesting to follow that one as it happens. It's only been discussed for the last couple of weeks or so, but just worth noting at this stage that it is possible to find variations rather than always seeing 3 at the top and 8 on the right hand side. This is an example of a search partner site. In this case, it's a Google-owned property of Google Maps. Again, following the same principle that a user has entered a search term at the top of the page, and in response to that, some text ads can show that are relevant to that search term. So, search partners is an option that, as I say, that you can tick in a box if you want to extend the reach of your search advertising beyond the Google search engine. This is an example from the display network. So this is the site about.com, where, as you can see, there are a number of different ad units on the page, 3 different areas here. And as I mentioned initially, you can find text ads here, but you can also find different variations on text ads. So you can see banner ads, more visual ads than you will find on the through Google Search or through Google Search Partners. So these are not targeted by a user search term, and you can see a greater variety in the ad formats. One important area of the display network to mention is video advertising, YouTube being a good example of that. There's a whole host of possibilities for targeting ads at YouTube. You may have noticed video ads that show before you watch a video that you've selected to view, sometimes known as pre-roll advertising or true view advertising, where you have the option to skip the ads. There are, as I say, there are a number of other options for putting different creative ad formats on YouTube. So it's pulling out the skip ad option that's available as part of TrueView advertising. There will be greater depth on all of these, whether it's image ads on the display network or video ads or advanced search advertising techniques that are available. But for now, at this stage, as I say, I think the key point to really highlight is that when you create your AdWords campaigns, there are a number of different options available to you. The Google search engine, extending that through the search partner network, or the display network, where ads will not be targeted in response to a specific query, and where you have a greater variety of ad formats, creative ad formats that are available to you. Are there any questions at this stage?